Hey guys, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. What are we talking about today? Well, you already saw the title, so you know. We're talking about my 5 favorite budget knife steals. So, before we get into it, what makes a good budget knife steal? Same thing that makes a good high-end steal. Performance. And there's a lot of different types of performance that people look for from their steel. Some people really value stainlessness. Some people really value edge retention. Some people really value toughness. Ease of sharpenability, I think, is a big one, especially when we're talking about budget steels. But all of these things are important. They're valid, and they're all equally relevant to any conversation about steel. So we're going to talk about my favorite budget steels. What do I value? Edge retention, of course, is good. But when we're talking about budget steels, I think ease of maintenance is really important because, especially in a lot of cases, budget knives are knives that you will give to people who may not be a knife person, or if you're just getting into knives or you just want to buy a knife, you need something that, maybe you're not an expert on knives and things. You need something that you can easily maintain. So, stainless qualities are good, and ease of sharpening is good. However, I am not a newbie to knives, and I'm sure many of you watching aren't. So there are some things that I can kind of shift around a little bit when I'm talking about my personal favorites in terms of steel, and my computer is beeping at me. Shut up. So let's go ahead and get into this. Talk about my favorite budget knife steels. Starting off, 5CR steel, of course, and other pot metal steels are just, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Stay away from stuff like that. In the actual number one position, we have D2 steel. Now, D2 in recent years has gotten kind of a bad rap. Like, people have kind of turned against D2 in a lot of ways. And maybe I should brought out a different knife with D2, because this one isn't really a budget knife, but you can find D2 on knives all the way from the $25 range up to, heck, some custom makers still use D2 and things like that. A lot of people don't like D2 nowadays for the simple reason that it's been used in budget knives for a long time, and they're just tired of it. Okay, that's definitely a very enthusiast problem to have. But let's push that aside. Let's push aside the the oversaturation of D2 in the market, you could say, and let's talk about just the steel itself and its own merits. So, I am not going to say that D2 is the greatest steel, the greatest budget steel, because in a lot of cases it's not. And some companies don't do the correct heat treat on their D2. They run it a little bit too soft. Properly heat treated D2 is excellent. It's very, very good. I don't think anyone would argue that. If you want D2 that is going to be heat treated well, go for CPM D2. It's a little bit different than ingot form D2, but it'll just give you really, really good performance. However, the reason I'm still including D2 on this list is because, D2 that's heat treated to 58 or 59 HRC is still better than this 5CR. And so if you can get a D2 like that on a $25 knife, you could make a case that it's not bad. Some of the other problems people have with D2 is that it's hard to sharpen, and it's not a stainless steel. So I'm going to provide some solutions that, if you don't like D2 for those reasons, here are some ways to improve your experience with D2. And even if you have D2 that might be a little bit softer and you want longer edge retention, I've got a tip for that too. Okay, so number one, coated blades. Coated or stonewashed, those are going to be the most resistant to rust. So if you're going to buy a knife in D2, get it coated or stonewashed if you're worried about corrosion. Second thing, with the sharpening, do not try and take D2 to a high polished edge. Don't even try and take it to a fine edge. You're just going to spend a long time sharpening and you're going to get very frustrated, and it's not even going to be a great edge. D2 works great with a coarse edge. It'll hold the edge forever, and it's easier to get to a coarse edge as opposed to a very refined edge. So on this knife, for example, I have a coarse 17-degree edge on here, and if we look here at that, you see how that's a little bit fuzzy? It's not a super smooth edge. It's a very toothy edge. But as you saw, it's very, very sharp. And D2 will hold that edge forever. Forever. Whenever I buy a D2 knife, one of the first things I do, if I'm not reviewing it, is I just resharpen it, put a coarse 17 to 20 degree edge on it, depending on what the knife is going to be used for. And I go like that. And D2 will hold that edge forever, even if it's not optimally heat treated. So why do I like D2? Because I think D2 offers a lot of performance at very attainable prices. And that's always a good thing. So that's why D2 is number 5. And there are several companies that do really bad D2. They're usually very low priced though, so you kind of know what you're getting. There are companies that do okay D2. Most of them do okay D2, and that's fine. And then there are a few companies that do just really, really great D2. Okay, moving on. My next favorite budget steel is 9CR18. This is a fantastic steel, and it kind of ticks all the right boxes. If you guys will remember, I did a video with my dad that came out a while ago, and very well received video. Very well received. I'm gonna have to get my old man back on the channel one of these days. But we talked about his Civivi backlash in 9CR steel and how he's used that knife very, very hard, and just we just kind of marvel together at how well it's held up. 9CR is a great steel. It's pretty stainless. It's fairly tough for a stainless steel. You can also check out the video I did testing the Civivi Mastodon. Broke the lock on the knife, but the blade itself held up really well to all the chopping and stupid stuff I was doing. So decently tough. Holds a good edge. Like, it really does hold a pretty excellent edge. And what was the other? What did I already mention? Jeez, I'm such a feather brain. And it's fairly easy to sharpen. Something I love about 9CR is I think it's a great beginner steel because it is easy to sharpen, but it does give a little bit of resistance. So if you want to learn how to sharpen good steels, start with 9CR. But yeah, just a great steel, very affordable. I wish Civivi would use it more, but they've kind of moved away from being a budget brand, and now they're kind of a mid-tier brand. Syncut uses 9CR every once in a while, so that's good. The other thing, too, that I find interesting is I've known people who praised 9CR, but then they turn their nose up at 440C. 9CR and 440C are basically analogs to each other. So you can put 440C here and this part of the list too, because they're very similar steels and they both perform very, very well. I think 9CR is a great starting steel, especially on the Civivi Praxis for $42. You get a lot of knife and there's a lot of capability there. And I need to carry my Praxis a little bit more. It's mostly a review, a size comparison knife, but I do carry it every once in a while, as you can see from the blade. But yeah, really, really great steel. Love 9CR. Alrighty, moving on to what's quickly kind of becoming the new king of the budget steel world, and that is 154 cm on this Vostede Nightshade. Great steel, very well balanced. If you watch Metal Complex, you know that he loves a steel. He says it's the most well-rounded steel in his opinion, and I would agree. It's a very, very balanced steel. The edge retention is good. I would actually say that the edge retention is probably right around the 9CR-ish range. I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but like similar. But very, very well-rounded performance. Good stainlessness, decent edge holding, good toughness, and easy to sharpen. It's just a very, very good steel. And I'm a big fan of it. Kaiser's using it a lot these days. You see other companies like Petrified Fish have dipped their toes in with the 154 CM. Yeah, just a really, really good steel. And not a whole lot to say about it, but that's good. It's just simple, works, and yeah, especially for an EDC knife, can't really go wrong with good old 154 CM. Not to be confused with CPM 154, but you guys know that. Moving right along, the next steel, 14C 28N. Love this steel. Absolutely love 14C 28N. It is one of the tougher stainless steels. If toughness is a big consideration for you, yeah, 14C is good. Very, very good edge retention. Nice and easy to sharpen. Or not edge retention, I was going to say very, very good stainlessness, and then the edge retention is a lot better than a lot of people say. If you look on like Blade HQ's knife steel guide, they have 14C listed as like a 3 out of 10 in edge retention. Honestly, I think 14C would score more of like a 5 out of 10. At least the 14C that I've handled mostly. This Civivi riffle, Civivi does excellent 14C. Excellent 14C. This might even be like a, I don't know, 6 out of 10 maybe. Maybe that's a little bit ambitious, but very, very good edge retention, especially for the prices that you can get these at. Very, very good steel. If you want to get your hands on some 14C, Civivi does some of it. Real Steel uses a lot of 14C. Kershaw. Yeah, just really, really good options. It's 14C to me is kind of a no-brainer. Like, if I see a knife and I see that it's in 14C, I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? Good choice. You know, it's always just a solid choice to me, no matter what type of knife it is. EDC, outdoor fixed blade, 14C is just a really great all-around steel, and I always enjoy seeing it. So, yeah, 14C. I mean, what else is there to say? It's just excellent. It's very, very excellent. You can often get it cheaper than things like a 154 CM, and yeah, it's just good. There we go. Alrighty, before we get into my number one pick, which I'm sure a lot of you already know, let's go ahead and do some honorable mentions. And the first honorable mention steel is AUS 10. AUS 10 is actually a pretty good steel, in my opinion. Why is it just getting an honorable mention? Because my favorite AUS 10 is actually like the AUS 10A that Cold Steel uses. It's just a fantastic steel. Cold Steel heat treats it very well. Good edge retention. Good toughness also helps that a lot of the knives Cold Steel makes, you know, they've got like super robust blades, so that, you know, helps a lot with the toughness. But Cold Steel makes a lot of steels a little bit better than most other places. Even Cold Steel's 8CR is okay. Yeah, but AUS 10 Kubi uses it a lot, and if you see a Kubi knife in AUS 10, let's see, where do they have the blade steel mark? Oh, yeah, there it is. There's the blade steel marking. AUS 10. Yeah, don't be afraid to pick it up. It's good. Yeah, it's a very good steel, very well rounded. Yeah, I do like it. I guess it just didn't make this list because this is a top 10 list or a top 5. And the next steel is one that also missed the list just because I was just narrowing things down to 5. And that is VG10 slash 10CR. Yeah, 10CR, 15CO MOV. They're analogs. I think they're really, really great, and especially on knives such as this Sincut Tainan, which is under $50. Yeah, VG10, 10CR, fantastic steels. Great, great budget steels. Notice I said budget steels, Spyderco. But look at this blade. Oh, I hate bead blasts. I've been using the heck out of this knife. I love this knife, and it just looks so ugly now with that bead blast. Bead blasts are the worst. But yeah, love 10CR. Very good steel, decent edge retention, great stainlessness, very easy to sharpen. Takes a really, really good edge. This knife here probably needs a new edge, but yeah, I've got gunk and scratches on there, but it was mirror. But yeah, great. Also, need to clean this knife out. Doesn't have that crunchiness in the pivot. So it happens when you use a knife so much. But yeah, love VG10 10CR. Good stuff. And the last steel I want to mention is Nitro V. For a long time, I did not like Nitro V. I've kind of changed my mind on it. I have a video coming out all about that. But it's an okay steel. Do I prefer it over 14C? No. Especially since Civivi, they like charge a lot for their Nitro V. The what's the knife they released that was like $105? The steel frame lock, the Tetanus or something. I can't remember, but they do put a premium on it, and to me, it's just not. Especially since Civivi does such a good job with their 14C. But yeah, it's a good steel. I would say it's just completely fine. I'm not averse to it anymore, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite either. So, okay, let's go ahead and get into what my favorite budget knife steel is. Most of you already know what it is. I know you do, but dramatic reveal. AR RPM 9 is just an amazing steel. This is the CJRB Scoria that you're seeing it on. I love AR RPM 9. It's essentially powder formed 9CR, and yeah, it's fantastic. It really is. The prices you can get it at, really good. It's a CJRB and Artisan exclusive steel. It's just so good, and I think CJRB, they're moving all of their current models from, like, they originally, while them came out in D2, they're moving them to AR RPM 9, and yes, please, that is amazing. Just an excellent steel. Corrosion resistance is very good. Edge retention, very good. Toughness is good for a budget stainless steel. Ease of sharpening is fantastic. I mean, this stuff it's so nice and easy to sharpen 9CR. I love AR RPM 9. I love sharpening it. It's just, this steel just ticks every box. And oh my gosh, the Scoria is such a good knife too. I love this knife. But yeah, great steel. I don't even know what more to say. If you are looking for a knife and you want it to be a work knife, you want to have a steel that will work and be easy to maintain for a long time, find something with AR RPM 9. I think you'll be really, really impressed. Recently, I reviewed the CJRB Hyperlight. I would love to see AR RPM 9 on a bigger fixed blade. I really want to test it out to really see how tough it is, but something tells me it would do pretty well. Whoops. Yeah. I really like the steel. I really like it, especially for an EDC steel, and especially like kind of in this format, super thin blade and everything. Just really great steel. How many times do I have to say really great steel? It's a good steel, so definitely give it a try. So there we go. Those are my favorite budget knife steels. I would love to hear from you guys. What are some of your favorites? Tell me in the comments below, and I will definitely check those out. I've been Gideon. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.